I used to sit across from him at the dinner table, the clinking of silverware louder than any words he ever said. He'd pass the salt, nod when someone spoke, and offer a faint smile when something was funny. But he rarely said much. To be honest, I didn't think he had much to say. I was a kid, restless, talkative, always searching for something louder, faster, newer. And he was the opposite of all that. He moved slowly. He listened more than he spoke. He seemed to exist in a different rhythm, one I didn't understand. I thought he was just quiet, maybe even boring. While I chased cartoons and noise and excitement, he'd be out in the garden, pruning the same rose bush I thought was already perfect. Or sitting in his old chair, fixing a broken radio, hands steady, eyes calm, at family gatherings. He never tried to be the center of attention. He'd let others tell stories, let the younger ones steal the spotlight. And when I asked why he never said much, my mom would smile and say, "That's just how he is. He says what matters." But back then, I didn't see wisdom in his silence. I saw absence. I didn't realize that behind those quiet eyes was a lifetime of stories, of sacrifice, of strength, of love that didn't need to be loud to be real. Now, looking back, I see it all differently. I remember the way he'd wake up before everyone else, not because he had to, but because he respected the quiet of the morning. I remember how he'd fix things, not just machines, but moments. He had this way of stepping in when something was about to fall apart, not with words, but with presence. He'd hand you a wrench or offer a hand, or simply be there, unshaken, grounded. At the time, I didn't see that as love, but now I know better. Now I know that love isn't always loud. It's not always wrapped in grand gestures or dramatic speeches. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's steady hands that never let go. Sometimes it's a man who gets up before sunrise to make sure the world is a little more in order for the people he loves. As a child, I wanted excitement. But he offered something better, stability, and I didn't understand it until I needed it. Back then, I didn't realize the value of what he gave me. I wanted fire, he offered stone. I wanted noise, he gave calm. I wanted attention, he gave consistency. He wasn't flashy. He didn't shower us with gifts or give long-winded advice. But he was there, always. Every school event, even if he stood in the back. Every broken toy, even if he didn't say a word while fixing it. Every time I fell apart, even if he didn't tell me how to feel. He just sat beside me. As a kid, I misunderstood his stillness for indifference, but now I understand. It was strength. There was this quiet rhythm to how he lived. Early to rise, coffee in hand, tools always in their place. He made his bed every morning like it was a sacred act. He'd sweep the porch, not because it needed it, but because he did. He taught me, without a single lecture, that life isn't built in the loud moments. It's built in the daily ones, the quiet routines, the patience to do the right thing even when no one is watching, the discipline to show up again and again and again. And when I look back on my childhood, I don't remember the things I thought were exciting. I remember his steadiness, his hands on the wheel during long drives, his shadow standing just behind me when I was learning to ride a bike, the way he'd put his hand on my shoulder, not to say anything, just to let me know he was there. He never told me how to be a man. He simply showed me day after day that being strong wasn't about being loud. It was about being constant. As an adult now, I crave the very things he modeled: peace, presence, patience. I finally understand that what he gave me was a gift far greater than excitement. He gave me stability, and that's what built me. He didn't explain things. He didn't sit me down for life talks or tell me what kind of person to be. But somehow, I learned everything I needed. He taught by doing, by being. The way he held the door a second longer for others. The way he Always looked someone in the eye, even if he said little. The way he cleaned up after everyone had gone to bed, quietly, without ever being asked. He never announced his values. He simply lived them. Kindness wasn't a word he used. It was how he treated the woman at the market, how he fixed a neighbor's fence without expecting anything in return, how he showed up, even when it wasn't convenient. I remember once, as a child, I broke a glass. It shattered loud and sharp across the floor. I was terrified of being scolded. He just walked in, knelt down with a broom and dustpan, and said softly, "Careful. Don't cut yourself." That was it. No anger. No judgment. Just a moment that stayed with me far longer than any punishment ever could. His silence didn't mean absence. It meant presence without pressure. It meant space to grow, to stumble, to learn without shame. I've carried that with me. When someone's hurt, I don't rush to fix it with advice. I sit with them. When my child messes up, I remember that broken glass, and I respond with patience, not punishment. He showed me that real guidance doesn't need volume. It needs consistency. It needs care. And now I find myself living the lessons he never had to say. It didn't hit me all at once. Grief rarely knocks. It seeps in, slow, quiet, like dusk slipping into night without anyone noticing. I was folding laundry, of all things, standing in the kitchen, the hum of the dryer behind me, my hands on autopilot, and then a tune escaped my lips. That old, wordless hum he used to carry like breath. I didn't even realize it was his until halfway through the second verse. And the second I did, it felt like time cracked open. Tears welled up, uninvited. My throat tightened. And before I knew it, I was back there. Not physically, but in scent, in sound, in soul. I was back in that small, weathered house he never remodeled. The place where the floorboards creaked in greeting, where the air always smelled like cedar, coffee, and pipe smoke, where the porch light was always left on, just in case someone came home late. I remembered the slippers by the door, his old toolbox under the stairs, the kitchen clock that always ran 5 minutes slow, but no one dared fix it. I stood there, laundry in hand, and felt every moment I had overlooked now rise like a tide. Subtle, patient, unstoppable, and I realized he had been building something in me all along, not with rules, not with lessons wrapped in lectures, but with his presence, with his being. He gave me stability, not through advice, but through repetition, through always being there, even when he had nothing to say. He gave me a model of quiet strength, the kind that doesn't raise its voice, but doesn't falter when the world shakes. He showed me that love isn't measured in words, but in how often you show up, especially when no one's watching. He handed me a blueprint, not made of diagrams or expectations, but of moments stitched together by quiet care. His way of living was never loud, but it was felt in the way I now tighten a loose screw instead of replacing the whole thing. Felt in how I take my coffee black, because that's how he took it. Felt in how I pause before reacting, because he always gave space for the storm to pass. That's the thing about people like him. You don't realize how deeply they shaped you until you hear their echo in your own decisions. Until you find yourself, unknowingly, becoming them. And that's when it hits you. They were never trying to be remembered. They were just living the right way and trusting you'd catch on someday. Now I know. I didn't just lose him, I inherited him. Not in possessions, but in perspective. And no matter how loud the world gets, a part of me will always hum that quiet tune. Fold the laundry just so, and remember, what he gave me can't be lost. Because I carry it now, in every ordinary thing I do. Some days I still wish I could hear his voice. Just one more time. Not for a story or advice, but just to feel that calm presence again. That stillness he carried like it was part of the air around him. But as time goes on, I've come to realize something. He's not really gone. Because I carry him with me, in the way I fix things that others throw away, in how I pause before I speak, in how I make time for the quiet moments, the ones that feel small, but shape everything. He taught me without words that legacy isn't always loud. It doesn't need a monument. It doesn't need to be posted or published. Sometimes it's how you show up every day, how you treat people, how you hold your values, even when no one is watching. And that's the kind of man he was, a steady hand in a chaotic world, a soft voice that somehow carried farther than a shout, a foundation, not flashy, not famous, but firm. Now, when I face a hard choice, I ask myself what he would have done. And even though he's not here to answer, I usually know, because he already taught me in the way he lived. So if you're listening to this, and someone comes to mind, someone who never asked for credit, never told you how to live, but somehow shaped who you are today, don't keep that story to yourself. Speak it, write it, pass it on. Because people like him, they don't live in headlines. They live in habits, in memories, in the quiet moments we carry forever. And when we choose to remember them, when we choose to live like them, they never really leave. They echo, softly, but endlessly.